What's going on, guys? Welcome back. It's Hal, and today we're going to be covering the NieR Automata collaboration banner return to Final Fantasy Rave Exvius. A lot has been said about this banner, how crappy the banner is and how nerfed the units are and how worthless they are. And well, I've heard a lot of points, some of them correct, some of them incorrect, and some of them are just flat out wrong or ignorant. So I'm going to set all that for you guys straight here after this one. Hopefully you'll have the opinion you need to decide whether or not you want to pull on some of these units, especially if you do love the units, but you're not quite sure enough if they'll be good enough for you in the long run. So first, we're going to go over A2 here. In my opinion, she's the weaker of the two units in the banner, and it's not because she's a mess of a unit or anything crazy like that. Her kit does look a little weird, but you can make it usable, at least for right now, and actually is very strong right now if you have the right team comp for it. But as with all units in the game, if you watch my reviews, units who just strictly do damage are the ones who are shut out the first, right? They're the first victims of power creep, and A2 is just gonna be a straight up damage dealer. Is she good at it? If you're new to the game, if you're a NieR fan and NieR brought you into FFBE and you got your hands on a couple of them, then yeah, she's gonna be very strong right out of the gate for you, just like Lespris was. And she also has some other builds that you can do with her right now that actually make her an incredibly strong damage dealer. So her team art's the Beast Lord. We know this weapon, 125 attack with 20% defense with the ability of Beast Roar, which is like a 1.5 multiplier AoE. It is a single-handed greatsword, so no two-handed variants there. But it does work with double hand. Now she has Drenchal Trader for a super TMR. Increase your attack by 80% when equipped with a greatsword. Increase your physical magical damage against mechanical monsters by 50%. I'm not sure why this has physical and magic damage on it, because if you're using attack, you're either using hybrid damage or you're using, physical damage, and those both use physical killers. The magical damage to machine monsters on there, if you do have this, you could put this on a mage. It wouldn't give you any magic, but it would give you 50% more magic damage because it does have that killer on there. Now this super TMR, in my opinion, isn't really worth going in super hard for or anything. If you wind up with it, great, but should you pull for 4? Not really. 80% attack, 70% attack, 60% attack, whatever of those numbers you want to be using will become much more commonplace in the future with more 4-star bases who have really strong TMRs or even other super TMRs in the future. Now, this is a time-limited unit, so a time-limited unit super TMR has to be very strong for me to go, okay, I really need this, or it has to have a very strong or I have to have a very strong reason to want it to proc their trust ability in the future. And A2's trust ability isn't really worth proccing in the future and making that active to take advantage of using a different weapon. So let's scroll down here a little bit. We'll go over her 7-star kit as we do with rerun units. If there's anything that gets buffed in her 6-star form, we'll cover it then, but not right away. So Yorha double slash, 7-star level 101. Use heavy attack, dash attack, finish her Hateful Blade heavy attack, avoid heavy attack, horizontal sweep, inorganic blade, offensive heal combo, pet the pod, and provoke twice in one turn. So she gets dual cast for pretty much all of her stuff, including Hateful Blade. Pet the pod, learned at 105, increase your HP by 1,000 and MP by 60, and then increase your limit burst gauge by 5. So pretty decent self-heal there, but nothing super insane. You can dual cast it though, and hopefully there's like a nice little animation where you pet pod 153 or pod 042. Just pet it real quick, just like that. All right, Hateful Blade, 3-turn cooldown, available on turn 3. Costs 76 MP. Increase physical damage against machines by 100% for 2 turns to the caster, and does physical damage 18 times multiplier to 1 enemy. Very nice. I wish this was usable on turn 1 or 2 even. But on 3, you'll be ready to roll this in. You can, dual cast one of her chaining skills that she'll get, followed by Hateful Blade and blow something up. The machine killer on there is pretty nice versus machine monsters, and hopefully it'll be coded in a way where if you are fighting a machine monster, the machine killer will be applied to your character before you actually use the 18 times multiplier to 1 enemy, so you actually will get that nice machine killer bonus. And then avoid heavy attack, one of her best skills that she's gotten here. Did not skip it, guys. Physical damage 6.0 multiplier to 1 enemy, 8 hit. Absolute Mirror of Equity, Chaining Family. It does have decreased attack and magic by 50% for 3 turns to 1 enemy. I don't really count 50% attack and magic on 7 stars. 50% any sort of break to be like super amazing. It's a nice supplementary thing that you have in your party because as you start doing harder and harder fights, you're gonna want to have that 60%, 65%, 70%, 74% attack, magic, defense, spirit break when you want those breaks, because a 74% spirit break, 74% attack, magic, defense break, much more than a 24% increase or decrease in damage taken or damage done. It's closer to like a 50 or 60% increase in attack and magic damage done there. So super strong skill there, and it is the absolute mirror of equity chaining family, which will become probably the second most popular chaining family in the game. Now for passives here, Berserker increases physical damage against machines by 50%, increases attack by 50% when equipped with a great sword, which is what her trust ability is. Now her TMR equipped, which is the Beast Lord, you get 40% attack when dual wielding. Don't really do that. She has W cast, so there's no real reason to dual wield with her outside of gaining the ability to use her Beast Lord to get the 40% true dual wield and like an elemental weapon. Just don't do that. It's actually better to just go ahead and use an elemental weapon instead and get the double hand bonus we'll talk about in a minute. So this one also increases your attack by 150% of your equipment attack when single wielding a one-handed weapon. So this, if you have Beast Lord on, you're gonna get 150% double hand for that. But you're gonna be stuck with a non-elemental weapon, 125 attack weapon. So not the greatest thing there. Vortex of the Past and Hatred, increase your equipment attack by 100% when single wielding a one-handed weapon. So both this level 110 passive and her trust ability are only double hand. No true double hand, has to be double hand. If you're gonna go for dual wield versus double hand, you don't want to use Beast Lord, you don't have an imbuer, don't go dual wield, just go double hand, because 40% equipment attack when dual wielding, that's less than the 100% equipment attack when using a one-handed weapon. You might get a higher attack number on your character sheet, but if you're dual wielding, that number is lying to you. If you want to get a decent representation of what your attack is when dual wielding, take whatever weapon you have equipped, your secondary weapon, take that attack and subtract your total attack by that attack, and that's how much equipment attack or how much attack total you actually have as far as the game cares when calculating the damage you're doing with a dual wield build. She gets attack plus 30% at 110, MP plus 20% at 115, and then Beautiful World at 120, Spirit plus 40% for some reason, and then you get a 1.5 modifier increase to avoid heavy attack, dash attack, finisher, heavy attack, horizontal sweep, and vertical sweep. Basically, the only skills you really care about getting this buff is avoid heavy attack, and I think it's finisher. I think those both become 7.5 times multipliers, which are very strong there. Yeah, 7.5 multiplier on finisher, 7.5. Great. Berserk. Pretty good buff here to Berserk at 7-star. At 6-star, you had to actually level it up to get the increasing attack buff, but at 7-star here, level 1 Berserk is a 7.1 times multiplier with a 2-turn 300% attack buff for 2 turns and a 250% attack buff for 5 turns. So you're gonna have that buff for a long time. HP damage 30% for 4 turns of the caster, so you take 30% of your HP per turn, and then you glow red for 4 turns. If you max it out, all that changes and you take less damage per turn. It goes down to 20% of your HP per turn, and you do a 10.0 multiplier AoE. So if you're gonna be using and abusing A2, you're gonna use her, you might as well level her limit burst out. It's gonna help you heal her a little bit better. It's gonna do a little bit more damage. If you're trying to min-max the damage on her, that's what you wanna do. So let's talk about A2 real quick for a second as far as what you wanna do with her. We mentioned don't really ever dual wield with her. Never going to be the best thing that you could be doing with her. It'll feel bad when you're not using Beast Lord. It'll feel bad if you're not using Beast Lord. If you don't have an imbue, don't use Beast Lord double-hander with an elemental weapon. If you do have imbue, you can use Beast Lord and just double-hand her. That's assuming you don't have any gear. If you don't have any double-hand gear, no true double-hand gear, go ahead with the Beast Lord build and just smash away. Just smash away. 250% double hand. Use that if you're newer to the game. If you have some true double hand gear, the build that's actually insane for her is actually the fixed dice build. If you were on the stream yesterday, you can do an insane build of fixed dice. If you guys want to see it, let me know in the comment section below. Like the video, spread it around. Let me know you want to see like a guide for A2 7-star. We'll talk about that, but it's better than a lot of the other things that she can do. It's better by far anything else she can do. And on par or better than a lot of the other characters as far as chaining damage dealers in the game. So if you want to see more info on that, go ahead and let me know. That being said, you know, that sort of build. And the reason why I don't really care for A2 a lot, even though that build's really good, is we don't know how long it'll be until Fixed Dice gets nerfed. It won't be anytime soon, but you know, my guess six months from now they'll change the damage formula. They need to not do that though, but maybe they probably will. Even though I don't like that change, I'd rather them just delete that item from the game. And if you want to see that video, let me know about that as well. So A2, very, 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 very strong if you're a pretty fresh account. You don't need a lot of gear. Maybe just get her Beast Lord, you know, use a TMR Moogle on the Beast Lord, throw on your A2, and just start smacking stuff way harder than you will be able to smack things with other characters. If you're mid-tier, you can go ahead and do the elemental build or use her Beast Lord and get some more attack on her and just smash dudes over and over and over. That 300% attack buff's insane for a 7-star character, especially like if you have max attack pots. You're looking at like another 900 and something attack. And then if you have the Buster Style, if you have the Martial Gloves, the Nalu Teamer, whatever you want, you can throw Fixed Dice on her, have that Fixed Dice ran through Item World or whatever. And her attack buff on the Fixed Dice build is what makes it so good. You might say and think Fixed Dice is terrible because if you go down here and look, all of her weapon masteries, all of her double hand bonuses is for one-handed weapons. Fixed Dice is not a one-handed weapon. And all of her attack bonuses, Fist bonus, Spear bonus, Large Sword mastery. Yeah, if you're using Fixed Dice, pretty much all of her passives turn off and she has plus 30% attack. But that weapon is so strong on a character like this that it's insane for her. You have to have an imbue for her and an imperil for her, and she's going to be doing work for you because of her limit burst and her cooldown skill that give her that 250%, 300% attack buff. Because high attack Fixed Dice is insane, and her limit burst alone or her cooldown skill adds around 900 more attack. You can make her hit 2,000 or so attack with Fixed Dice, and she's got W cast, and that lets her chain, so that makes her do ridiculous amounts of damage, guys, in comparison to any of her other builds. All right, so that's gonna be A2. Let's go move on to 2B. All right, here's 2B. We're going to 2B, guys. And the thing I've heard most about 2B is that she's a bad version of Lauren. She has no chaining family. She's got no chaining partners. She needs to do some other stuff, and she's just garbage arena. Well, I'm here to tell you that 2B is my favorite unit on the banner because she's gonna be very, very powerful. All right, so not bad that you guys compared to Lauren. Yeah, they do some breaks and they do some damage. The thing with Lauren is that Lauren has 2 chaining families. One of them's Onion Knight, not the most popular chaining family in the whole game, right? And then the other one's a Roll Ray, and that one's quite better off than it used to be over here in global version. We've got a couple global exclusive characters with a Roll Ray. That's awesome. Great, super awesome. 2B's thing, she doesn't really have any chaining partners, but you can get around that very easily, and she will be sort of like a Lauren, but in reverse, and she's super awesome that way. So let's get into it. Her TMR is the Virtuous Contract, 130 attack, 20% MP. Katana, okay, sure, whatever. One-handed weapon. Executioner, super TMR. Increase your attack by 40% when you're equipped with a sword, katana, or a spear. These stacks if you're dueling, 80% attack there. Increases your physical and magical damage against humans by 50%. And then enables skill to the caster or not to be. It's just you have a chance to randomly cast death or do a little bit of lightning damage. It's kind of a flavorful thing to be or not to be. That's why it's there. Hilarious, right? Super fun. Let's scroll down just like before. We're going to look at 7-star skills. Supreme Support Weapon. I have not seen a skill with more things shoved into it before than Supreme Support Weapon. 7-turn cooldown. Finally, I feel like they've made a skill that's worth the 7-turn cooldown that it has. I'm tired of looking at like 2,000 HP barrier, 7-turn cooldown, sort of skill like that. So you can do this on turn 1, 7-turn cooldown. Attack and defense both for yourself, 250% for 5 turns. Ridiculously long. That's super awesome. Enable skills for 6 turns. Avoid attack, True Charge Blade, True Charge Spear, and True Charge Volt. All insane skills, all necessary parts for rotation. Get these for 6 turns, guys. Decrease attack, defense, magic, and spirit by 70% for 3 turns to all enemies. 70%, all enemies, 3 turns. Super awesome. We're on par for the course with 6-turn unlock skills and a massive attack buff for yourself, which you might think, oh, 2B doesn't do that much damage. You're wrong. You're wrong, friends. All right, Your Haas Sword Dance. 4-turn cooldown available on turn 4. Lightning physical damage 15 times multiplier to 1 enemy. All right, decrease attack, defense, magic, and spirit by 50% for 3 turns to 1 enemy. And then enables access to extract speed. Your Haas Slaughter Dance for 4 turns as well. This is a new chaining family. We have 1 skill in the game. I think Alespris's cooldown skill also is Graviton Cannon. it'll be a little more popular later on. This is a relatively new family in JP, so she will get more chaining partners eventually in the future, but for right now, you don't really have any chaining partners. That is true, and that's why you have to not use 2B as a chainer, guys. All right, so for passives, 7-star skill, Yorha number 2, type B. Cute. All right, TMR equipped, attack and defense 30%, increase equipment attack by 100% when single wielding any weapon. So this 100% true double hand. That's very important when going into the future. We'll talk about that as well. Recover MP 7% per turn and upgrade your limit burst. The upgraded limit burst is absolutely insane, and you will definitely want your TMR equipped 80% of the time. Yeah, isn't that weird? I said it's absolutely insane, but you don't always want it equipped. Crazy. We'll talk about that as well. Update 2Bs, level 110. Increase your MP attack and spirit by 40% passively. Gives you 50% machine killer physical damage. And increase your equipment attack by 50% when dual wielding. You can go for the dual wield build. Not the best thing in the world. I don't really like the dual wield build. Maybe in the future when she has more chaining partners, she can do a better lore and interpretation. So hopefully in the future she'll be able to do a lore and interpretation, or just remain herself as 2B, guys. So attack plus 20% at level 115, and then 120. Blade with Quiet Volition is defense increased by 20%, increased modifier 1.0 to avoid attack and extract speed. It makes avoid attack, I think, a 10.0 modifier and extract speed a 7.0 modifier. We'll have to check that, but I'm pretty sure those are right. And then auto cast Blade with a Quiet Volition at the start of battle. That makes her take 10% less damage from physical sources. Void attack 9.0, buffed by 1.0, 10.0. True Charge Blade, an unlocked skill here. So this is from her 7-turn cooldown, but usable on turn 1 skill. So True Charge Blade, physical damage combo, 3 times, 4-point multiplier each, 12.0 multiplier total. Don't be fooled, this is not a stacking multiplier skill. It is like a barrage style skill. You cast this, you click your character once, she's gonna go out, do a 9-hit skill, come back, go out, do a 9-hit skill, come back, go out, do a 9-hit skill, come back. All right, that's True Charge Blade, right? Charge Blade, it's kind of like the little whirly thing, her AoE thing. And each time she casts a skill, she's gonna get 3 limit burst gauge crystals. So if you're dual wielding, you will cast this 6 times, and you will get 18 limit burst crystals off of this. So if you're going for like a full support thing and don't want to do a bunch of damage, you can go dual wield specifically for this skill. If you don't have a really good way to keep her limit burst gauge up to use her limit burst. True Charge Spear though, physical damage 6-point multipliers all enemies, imbue lightning to your physical attacks for 5 turns with the caster. This is Stardust Ray. This is their other chaining family, and it is also a relatively new chaining family in JP. There's a couple of characters who've got it, and I do believe Red 13, hence the name, was the first character originally in JP to get this family. Maybe we'll call it the True Charge Spear family over here in Global. It is a 10-hit skill. All right, and it is AoE decent multiplier, nothing insane, and it does have that all-important imbue. True Charge Volt, physical damage, 7 times multiplier to one enemy, decreased lightning resistance by 100% for 5 turns to that enemy, and then does a 2.5 times multiplier in physical damage per turn for 3 turns to that enemy. Okay, so 7.0 one-hit skill, 100% imperial, very nice, and then a nice little bleed effect over time. That's pretty cool there. And the bleed effect, I think, works kind of like your limit burst, and it does not factor in like your offhand weapon when going for the damage calculations there. So a double hand build, you'll get a little bit more bleed damage over time. It's fine, nothing insane though. The bleed damage though for 3 turns notably is a 7.5 multiplier in addition. So that makes the skill 14.5 in total. Can't really get the chain modifier and stuff like that for all of it. You can get it for half of it, and you get a little bit raw naked damage in the bleed. All right, extract speed 6.0. It's going to be a 7.0 with that buff. Yorha Slaughter Dance, lightning physical damage 11 times multiplier to one enemy with a 60% attack and magic break for 3 turns to one enemy. And Graviton Cannon, the 60% attack magic break that could maybe come into play later on and later in a fight. If the boss, we get a boss one day that like dispels itself or does like a phase transition and dispels itself. I guess those are the same thing. You can get a little bit of a lower break there if you don't have your limit burst up. And speaking of her limit burst, we'll go over that next. Yorha Type B, or no, HO229 Type B upgraded. So the upgraded version, you definitely want it. Nothing changes. The damage doesn't change from the upgrade, but here's what you get. Levels maxed out or level 1. As long as you have a TMR equipped, it's going to add the effect of mitigate physical damage taken by 20% for 5 turns to the caster. Makes her a little bit tanky, that's whatever. But you get the all-important decrease attack, defense, magic, and spirit break by 74% for 3 turns to all enemies. Now, remember, this added on part, because it's from her trust ability, you get the full break at level 1. So if you're not using it for damage, you just want her to break, or you're new to the game, you don't know if you need to level it up or not, you do not need to level her limit burst up to get the max effect of the break. Level 1 and max level are the same. Now, if you max it out, it's a 28 times multiplier. If you leave it at level 1, it's a 22.2 times multiplier. If you are going for a build that we'll talk about real soon, and max damage, you want to get the most out of your 2B, I'd say max it out, but it's not high priority. So you want to max it out eventually, maybe farm some LB pots or something, throw some in there every once in a while, and then finally get it maxed out so you can do some damage, a little bit more, 6.0 multiplier around there when you're ready to do your limit burst. So, all right, guys, so why do I like 2B so much? So unlike A2, I just said A2 is a traditional damage dealer. She doesn't have much utility attached to her. She just does damage, damage, damage. She's basically a numbers unit. And as other units come out who just are like A2 that do damage and damage and damage, those units are just gonna have higher and higher numbers, and it's just gonna fall behind slowly over time. Or someone like 2B, who has that utility attached to them, right? The Lorne tier breaks, the CG lid tier breaks, the Ornn tier breaks. The 70% full stat break AoE, turn 1 cooldown, followed by a limit burst, you can also apply those breaks, will allow her to survive a lot longer in the meta. And she also has a couple of weird ways that they designed her in her kit to allow her to evolve into the meta and stay relevant the whole time. So right now, if you want to use her as a breaker, you have to wear Virtuous Contract because you need to go ahead and get those breaks refreshed from her limit burst. And even though that LB and some of her skills are 10 hit skills or so, if you're double handing, you'll never use those skills more than one time, which means you can weave those skills into the other people doing their chain. So if chain weaving is a term that's new to you, I don't blame you. It's because I'm pretty much the only person that actually uses the term, and it is what you think that it is, right? If you have 2 units chaining already, right? It doesn't matter who they are for the most part. As long as you have 2 people chaining, they're building their chain up. And if you have someone like 2B come in with a skill that isn't really a part of that chaining family, but it doesn't hit super fast, then while they're chaining, I can throw this 3rd skill in there and it'll exist inside the chain, right? And every time 2B hits, she'll add to the chain, and then one of the other 2 people will hit, and they'll add chain 2, 3, and then 2B will go in there, chain 4, and then chain 5, 6, and 2B will hit again. You just weave that skill into the chain, and you build that chain up faster, and as long as you can time it, you can almost get a full chain finish bonus on there, like 3.9, somewhere around there. Chain finish bonus for a lot of her skills, 3.8, something like that. Whether it be 10 hit limit burst, her 10 hit, Lunar Ray, Stardust Ray, chaining skill. You could throw those in there, and so she's not chaining, but she's using multi-hit skills and still getting almost near a chain finish bonus for them. And she also has chain finishing skills in her kit as well. And she can hit massive attack. If you've kept and paid attention, she's got 170% attack and passives. If you're using Virtuous Contract, she's 100% true double handle. That's fine. You can build up more for that. I mean, we went over some builds earlier on stream where she had over 3,000 attack with Virtuous Contract. She's got that 250% attack and defense buff. So she can hit really hard. We're talking with proper gear and setup, she's hitting as your breaker on a 100 defense target with her own imperil, and then like some Esper equipped with like 100% killer is what we've mathed in there, with like a 3.85 chaining modifier, chain weave bonus. Which is more than doable. She's hitting for close to 200 million damage against a 100 defense target. So that's a lot of damage from your breaker. So that's where she's good. And then you can expunge on that in the future, or even right now, right? If you want to end the fight really fast, like you're in a fight that doesn't have any sort of HP thresholds where the HP locks or your breaks don't fall off because of the HP lock, you can go full true double hand. Don't plan to refresh your breaks with your limit burst. You can just go, for right now anyway, fix dice, throw that bad dog on her, use the break right away on turn 1, right? Get that break in there, get that attack defense magic spirit break, buffer, imbue her, and then limit burst with her, and chain finish limit burst with that fixed dice. And she was doing upwards of 500 million damage with a fixed dice build, average 500 million damage, average, not high roll, average with a fixed dice build while chain finishing and being your breaker at the same time. And then last but not least, I want to talk about how she'll scale into the future, because you say a fixed dice number is nice, but it'll get nerfed. So what's going to happen in the future? Well, Executioner and her trust ability, super prevalent Okay, so if you plan on using her far in the future, they designed her in a very nice way. So Executioner's a super TMR. Increases your attack by 40% if you're equipped with katana, sword, or spear, and then gives you physical and magical killers against humans, and then gives you that or not to be skill. Executioner itself isn't super prevalent. If you do happen to use a sword, katana, or spear, preferably a two-handed one, in the future, we'll have this change where you can use your super TMR, and as long as your super TMR is equipped, you will also gain access to your trust ability. This means that you will no longer need to use Virtuous Contract, okay, to get breaks on your limit burst. So now you can go ahead and you can use whatever weapon you want. It could be a sword, katana, or spear. It doesn't have to be, but it could be. And it procs your trust ability. And what do we know? What is her trust ability? Unlike A2, who got double hand for her trust ability, 2B's is 100% single wielding any weapon. So she has 100% true double hand. So if they end up not nerfing fixed dice, you can throw fixed dice on there. If they do end up nerfing fixed dice, you could throw something like Nalu's Spear on there, right? 172 attack or something like that. Two-handed spear with lightning element on it already. So you can throw that spear on your 2B, get your trust ability. That means you still have the breaks on your limit burst. You have a two-handed spear with lightning element. Don't need to imbue yourself anymore. So you can just imperil right away, get the damage bonus off, go ham, use your limit burst, get in there, do a bunch of damage, and get that two-handed variance and have your attack skyrocket. I think we had like 3,500 attack or something stupid like that with the build. So she seems pretty future-proof. If you don't want to maximize her in the future, you don't need to get Executioner. But if you want her to be in your party for a long time, and those breaks will make it so she can be in the party for a long time and do some nice damage for you, then maybe get a couple of her in the future for the Executioner. I don't know if she'll ever be added to the mixture system. I don't know if we'll ever get the mixture system. But if you do end up with 3 2Bs, don't feel super pressured to go for the 4th. You could use one of the 2Bs, make it a 7-star, and then don't fuse your third 2B, because what could happen in the future if we get the mixture system, Square Enix don't listen, all right, because I'm trying to help people out. Save your third 2B until the mixture system comes out if we get it. Buy 2B's Awakening Prism in the mixture system. Awaken your second 2B to 7-star as well, and then take your second 7-star 2B and put it into your first one, and that'll give you the super TMR without you needing to pull for your 4th 2B. So if that's something that you want to think about doing in the future, go for it. I think 2B is strong right now in her role, which is a breaker chain finisher. I think she can be and will be strong in the future due to the super TMR change. And 70% breaks are just so relevant. Her damage is also just so high right now too, that she's more than worth a party slot. So if you're looking for a reason to use 2B because you like the character, you found one. If you're looking for a top tier breaker, you don't have any Lauren, this banner here, you found one. I think this banner is pretty decent. Don't forget, Pod is on the banner. I'll talk about Pod real quick. So 9S is on the banner, 4-star unit. Get him with your 4-star tickets. That's your best shot at him. Pod 153, still a must-have in my opinion going forward. You need to have at least one. If you miss out on it, you don't get it, it's a mistake. I do believe, I will tell you this, because if nothing else, it's for AO60 shield, I do believe it's called, and it gives your whole team for 2 turns 40% damage mitigation from physical attacks. So this is going to help you when bosses start getting really hard and they start hitting you really hard, guys, like really, really hard. 40% physical damage mitigation. That stacks with all damage mitigation, right? And when I mean all damage mitigation, I'm talking like Hypernull all, Spread Shield, Impregnable Stance. Damage mitigation that says reduces damage from all blah, blah, blah. Pod 153 stacks with that. You might not need it so much if you do have Barusa TMR. Barusa TMR is 30% physical damage mitigation, but Pod alone for that is definitely a must-have at least one of, okay? The other reason you might want a second pod is for the Pod 153 chains. If you see my channel, I use Pod 153 chains since the last time NieR's come out. I've used it in everything. A lot of it for some fun builds, but it allows you to open up your team to some characters who normally are pretty good, but might not be the best, right? Most recently, I run a team of just 5 supports. I use a friend support too, and I bring like a Roberta or something. It lets you use like a chain finisher or 2 chain finishers, your chain finisher and a friend's chain finisher. And usually chain finishers aren't worth a party slot because there's just no room for them. There's just no room for them. But if you can have a support and a healer, or a tank and a healer, or a tank and a support, whoever you have on your party, build a chain for you, you can just bring 2 chain finishers and that weakness goes away, right? I was able to make the most use out of Olive, Roberta, in the future CG Sid, Regina, all of those characters. 2B I did it with for a long time as well. All those characters, normally they're not really worth pulling on, so if you randomly get them, right, you might not try for them, but if you get them, if you have a couple pods, you want one, you might as well get two. You'll be able to make some crazy use out of some of those characters who really are made or breaked, I don't know, man, by your ability to easily have non-damage dealing units in your party who can build chains. So, but that's my review of the NieR Automata collab return banner. Hopefully this gave you some nice, clear, in-depth insight as to the capabilities of these units and that they appear to be a little bit more than, to maybe a bit more than what they are on the surface and the capabilities of these units. If you guys want to see more stuff like this, go ahead, visit my channel more, give this video a like, help the channel grow, let the knowledge of the NieR units spread vastly into the multiverse, guys. Hit that sub button for future content, check out the playlist section for previous content, and I'll see you guys in the next one.